Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Mr. Brother Bayan here from the GMS New Orleans camp. Here to bring you a quick lesson. Prior to get started, I want to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me the truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. You Akim, you Akwat, with your brothers and sisters in the Hebrew that believe. Okay? And this lesson here is going to be, through the Spirit, inspired by, the elders out there in Dallas, specifically the elder Yashawamba. But he made a point, which we all know, but brothers put things in different words to make you kind of have a different perspective, on something that you already know, and that's what's something beautiful, within the body. Brothers constantly bring out the same lessons over and over. The truth is, real redundant. It's not, brand new topics that you're going to go into. But again, hearing a topic that you are familiar with, but hearing it broken down, with the different, wordplay of an elder, of a well-learned, brother in the truth, it hits different sometimes, But I say all that to say, it was something that the elder mentioned about, the Lord not wanting us to be comfortable here, but on edge, okay? Because the moment that you're comfortable here is the moment that you're going to get burned up, okay? And again, it might sound simple, but, it was something on my spirit that, I wanted to come and, do a lesson on, all right? But kicking it off, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and 32. It says, "Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, watching at the posts of my doors." All right? And that's what we're trying to do right now. All right? We're trying to the best of our ability to keep, the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Stay in alignment with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right? Walking a straight and narrow path, But it says, "Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors." All right? And if you're somebody that's waiting, watching daily at the gates, watching at the posts of the doors, that definitely means that it's like a lot of action going on around me. But, it definitely means that you are not, bullshitting in the world. You're not caught up with the bullshit in the world, is what I mean to say. But again, it says, "Hear instruction and be wise and refuse it not." All right, this is the instruction that the Lord gave us, to be on our watch, not to be caught up in the follies of the world, like it says in the book of Hebrews, in the days of Noah, partying, drinking, and giving it to marriage. All right, that's not the mindset that you want to be in. All right, and the elder mentioned something else. They got celebrities, that's making these hundreds of millions of dollars, and to them, this is it. They got the kingdom already in their mind. They got their millions. They got all the women and all the glory that they could ever think of on this side. All right, and they don't want nothing more. Okay, so imagine again if Jake was to get in that mindset, still trying to balance the truth. The world is strong, man. So again, Jake gets some money in their pocket, and sometimes they lose themselves, And the elder also mentioned too, money more money, more problems. All right, and that's a true saying. All right, the more money that you get with things, within your lifestyle, that's just above your measure, Jake will act an ass with it, But again, the Lord have us in these situations, where it's little business, so you can focus on the truth more, so you can focus on the things of the ministry more, okay? And, just that point in time that you'll get that money, you'll lose sight of the truth, all right? And the Lord will want no dealings with you. You got to understand that we're dealing with a jealous power, man. So if you're giving your time and your effort to something else, man, the Lord definitely come through and you know, abuse you in some type of way, you know, if he love you. All right. If the Lord doesn't, you know, treat you as that son, you know, roughly paraphrasing, you know, and he treats you like that bastard, he'll let you have your riches and let you go on about your day. All right. And just wait to destroy you on, you know, on judgment day, you know, when it's time. You know, you get smashed sometime in Jacob's trouble, you know. But continuing on, you know, it's got to come out. But this is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and 10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction." All right. That's the last thing you want to be, is anchored down here in America. Okay. Babylon, you know, as it says in the scriptures. But, you know, it's easier said than done. You know, again, I've already mentioned that, you know, the world is strong. You know, you see all of these things going on around you. You know, Jake, you know, men of the Lord, you know, Lord willing, I'm of that number, you know, and the watchers that you know, you're of that number. We are talented, you know. It's a lot of skills that brothers, you know, and sisters have, you know, that they could really make it big in some type of way, you know. But it's going to take that time and effort to do so. And also, whatever, you know, of that business that you're doing is going to take you away from the Lord, man. All right. And that's why it's wise for you to not use that talent sometimes on that type of scale, if that makes sense. Okay. Just again, roughly paraphrasing, you know, some things are is lawful, but is it expedient at the time? Okay. Yeah, I'm a gym rat, you know, and I love sports, and you know, Jake have the urgency to get out and go play ball again, but you know, nothing's wrong with it. But you know, the moment that Jake got to put in that grind and put the truth on the back burner, it's not expedient no more. All right. But that was Micah, Proverbs, and I'm gonna hit one more. You know, I like to keep my videos short and straight to the point. But this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon. Deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will..." Oh, shit. It's lagging. Gotta get these windows up. No, mosquitoes coming. It's lagging. Hope he don't fuck me up. Let me read it one more time. This is Jeremiah 51 and 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." Verse 7 says, "Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." All right. And, you know, obviously that wine, you know, the golden cup in the Lord's hand that made the earth drunken. The wine here is, you know, goes into doctrines and pretty much the beliefs that this devil, you know, here pushes on, you know, other nations, including Israel. All right. But again, it says in verse 6, it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity." All right. We already know that this place is going to be destroyed. All right. And it doesn't mean to flee, you know, into another land, you know. Again, this is all spiritually. All right. I'm going to just continue on. You know, it just means to flee spiritually. All right. You don't want to be caught up in this place, you know, when the destruction happens, you know. And, you know, that's pretty much it, man. You know, the Lord wants you to be active in waiting for him, you know, not waiting for things to get comfortable, you know, here in this hellhole that we're in. You know, captivity is never supposed to be easy. Captivity is never supposed to be comfortable. All right. So treat it as that, you know, treat it as the time to show the Lord and prove to the Lord that, you know, you want to get the hell out of here too, you know. But that was pretty much it, you know. I pray that this lesson was edifying and straight to the point. You know, trying to get out of here. I want to give infinite honors and prayers too. Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me the truth. Peace and salutations to the whole elect. You Akim, you Aquad, with you brothers and sisters in the Hebrew that believe. And Shalom.